This review of Might and Magic 9 may contain spoilers and coarse language. I would also recommend you watch the 3 videos previous to this one. I mean, hey, I don't want you guys getting lost when I'm talking about things from the previous games in this. Unless you did play them or whatever.
I don't really care.
No, this will be the best game, really. Each player will have to dress up as a character they play, but if they don't have a costume, they can buy one from me made of paper. Oh, it'll be really great. And when it's done, it'll be the best game ever. I'll be rich and famous. Hey, where'd he go?
Okay, but for real, I think 3DO has a hate boner for New World Computing. They rushed the shit out of their games, and that led to its bankruptcy. While before, new Might and Magic games were only crappy with the spin-offs, as both the Heroes series, a spin-off series that also has some continuity with the story in the Might and Magic games, and the original RPGs were still pretty tightly knit. And then the crappiness affected the games, with Heroes 4 being a step down and Might and Magic 9 being unfinished. And that should describe the tone when talking about this game. Now the first question you may ask is, how is this part of the Enroth Trilogy, even though this is part 4 of 3? Well, in a sense, it's not. But it's also a direct story continuation. You see, what happened to Enroth, you may ask? Well, according to Heroes of Might and Magic 4...
And then the sword of frost and Armageddon's blade clash. A blinding flash.
Oops! So yeah, after that, all the refugees went to Axioth instead, and continued the plotline there. With that, there's at least one returning character, Prince Nikolai. You know, the prince that ditched us in 6? Yeah, then he makes fun of your party for looking just like him. And that's it. Look, okay, this really doesn't have that much to do with it, but, you know, there's at least some continuity. Look, I'm never going to cover this at any other point, so I may as well just do it here. So here we are with Might and Magic 9. Is it a good game? Is it a bad game? Well, it's certainly a polarizing game, and it's certainly an unfinished game. But you're going to see that there's some really, really good things about this game, and there's some really, really bad things about it. And there's even some things that are so bad, they're good. Let me explain as best as I can why this game is good, bad, and so bad it's good. So the plot to Might and Magic 9 is not as simple as it should be. What happens is your party of 4 adventurers, we're back to 4 by the way, they all decide to leave their hometown. They were on a boat going to a different country, then they ended up on the Isle of Ashes in Cheesiness. While they're there, they meet not a traitor for Adar, and not a trickster, Yrsa the Troll. Yrsa the Troll tells you that it's your destiny to unite the clans of Cheesiness against an invading army from Belladonia. So you just do it, because you can't leave without it. So then after that, not a traitor for Adar leads your army to be betrayed, and your army is completely screwed. So afterwards, you have to kill yourself. No, I shit you not, you actually have to do that. Then you have to go to Arzlagard, yes, it is named that, and then you have to get the army back. Then you get a writ of fate that clearly states that you are supposed to stop the invading army. You can't change fate. And so you get your army back, and then you confront the leader of the Belladonian army, Tamerlane, who then says, well, my writ of fate doesn't say that. Yeah, that's right. And so what happens is, you go all the way back to Arzlagard, you find out what happens, and you have to imprison the trickster that tricked you, and it fucked up your destiny. And that's it! That's the story! That's what this game's story is! This You have to kill yourself twice in it! It's so bad that it's entertaining. That's why I love this story, but it's still the dumbest thing on the planet. This is something out of like Sonic Adventure. This is so stupid. The gameplay in Might and Magic 9 goes back to its roots of 6 and 7. You control a party of 4 just like in 6 and 7, and like 7 you have 4 races to choose from, with human, elf, dwarf, and half-orc. This time around, it's a fully 3D game using the power of LithTech 1.5, so you get beautiful faces, like Shogo. Real-time combat seems to be the dominant strategy. Like, yeah, you could do turn-based mode if you needed to, but real-time has, like, no downsides. You're as fast as your enemy recovery-wise, so you can keep wailing on them. I used turn-based mode like once or twice during my entire playthrough, so just real-time that shit, dude. Classes were also completely revised. Instead of choosing Knight, Cleric, whatever, you have 2 beginning classes, Fighters and Initiates. What's interesting is Fighters can all be promoted to either Crusaders or Mercenaries, and then to Paladins, Rangers, Assassins, or Gladiators. Initiates are the same, becoming either Healers or Scholars, and then Druids, Priests, Mages, and Liches. Now let me tell you something about this. The classes when fully leveled up are actually really fun. Everything in between, not as much. With how the classes work, at the base you can only expert some things, and then on the second promotion you can expert some more things. But you can never master anything. Like here's something, healers no matter what become druids or priests, and both of them can grandmaster spirit magic. So how come the healer can't at least master spirit magic? This stuff right here slows the game down, and instead of it being a lot more fast like the original games, allowing you to reach master rank faster with some things, now you're just kind of fucking about until you can get a class that can do something. Because of that, this game can become a crawl at the beginning, and it's worse by the promotion classes that are way easier to do. For example, Scholar and Healer promotion quests are fucking easy. All you have to do is stay on the same map for both of them. While with the Mercenary and Crusader quests, you really gotta buckle down and fuck some people up. Then you have the Paladin quest, which requires no fighting at all. All you do is damn a family and threaten an assassin. Then you have the other side of the spectrum where the Ranger promotion quest is extremely hard, and the Lich promotion quest? Oh my god. Seriously, that Lich promotion quest is way harder than it needs to be, so you'll be like level 30 and a Scholar, and you'll start to see those flaws of you not being able to master things really coming in there. And speaking of mastery, you also have to find all the teachers and stuff, that's all here. But it's not the same as the previous games. You know how everyone just had a house and you could just easily find them, especially when 8 made it so easy? Oh, that was just stupid. Now instead you just have to find random NPCs, hope to God that you find the right one after you check every single one, and then do the work there. But not only that, you know how all the NPCs were in different places, especially how the earlier places had earlier NPCs there? Oh yeah, that was a stupid idea too. So what this game did instead is it made it so that all the cities had corresponding skills to them. Sturmford and Drangheim had all the weapons and armor skills. Guberland and Thronheim had all the magics. And then Thorgard and Frostgard had all the miscellaneous skills. This is such a double-edged sword because from a gameplay standpoint, this is somewhat superior, but as an immersion standpoint, this sucks. Like, to me, what was wrong with what the original games did? Especially with this game, you could have made it so easy to learn Elemental Expert and all that shit early on, but instead you have to wait till you get to Guberland, which this game is slightly linear in that sense because you have to go to it no matter what. It's so weird, they did like nothing wrong with 8 and it was all good and then they fixed it but then made it worse here and this game is so weird! Now there are some other refinements in this game. Magic is no longer a category basis, so instead of having a single page with like 10 spells on it, now it's pages and pages of spells, which aren't really good when it comes to finding spells, but at least it's alphabetical. Elemental spells have merged all together into just one elemental category, same with spirit being with spirit, mind, and body. Learning spells is about getting the right ranks in 2 or 3 categories. So yes, spells have 2 parts to them, which makes their effects differ, depending on what they do. It's kinda cool that you have to prioritize and give people the right kind of spells, but early game that doesn't really matter that much. I will still say that a lot of the spells in this game are pretty cool. Not that many return from the previous games in this one, a lot of them are pretty brand new. One spell I really like is Poison Cloud, which is this giant ball of gas that keeps doing damage so long as you're standing in it. And then there's Chain Lightning, which just does a bunch of damage, like instantly, and it tags along and zips across a bunch of people, so grouping together enemies is really essential to make this thing cool. So this game did some fix that was actually really stupid of it too. Normally when you walk into a store, you can just talk to the clerk to learn the skill. Okay, fine. They got rid of that in this one. No, they didn't bring back guilds. They brought something worse. You have to go to a library and hope to God, using random generation, you get a skill. Yes, they made skills something like you buy in the damn store, which makes it so hard for you to find things. And speaking of a stupid decision, here's something that was actually good. The hirelings are back in this game, and it's a mixture of ones you'd see in 6 and 7 and 8. So this time they can actually help you out with stuff, and they can still do some beneficial things for you too. Except one is broken. Edna Amore. Why is she broken? Her special ability is that you can find 20% more gold on anything. So what you can do is go to a bank, put in your money, get it back out, and since you just found that gold, you just got a 20% increase. And there you go. Yup, infinite money. Yup, that's why you see me with like 10 million gold in most clips. Yup. What the fuck? Man, there's a lot in this game that's just not finished. Models look like butt. Characters don't talk with their mouths opening. So many glitches in it. I've gotten stuck in floors, and I've also crashed the game by crouching into some shitty collision. Yes, this is the first game in the series where you can swim. And then they also made it so you can just walk around collision, and yeah. The worst one of all, though, is Divine Intervention. A spell that's returning in this game that lets it so that when you cast it, you can heal your entire party. The problem is Divine Intervention's a spell you can only cast once per day. You can cast it all the time now. And yes, it is a glitch. It says you can only cast it once per day. Some other flaws I think are just because this game isn't finished. One thing you can't do is you can't just pick up an inventory item and give it to another person. No, you have to actually drag and drop this time. This is way slower, and I hate it! The other thing too is you can't just identify items in the chest. You can't just select the character and identify it. No, they have to go into their inventory. Other things too is alchemy's gone. Instead now you just find potions. It's not like in Might and Magic 6 where you could still mix them. You just find them. So you may be asking yourself, is there anything good in this game? All I've done is complain. Well, actually yes, there are a few things that come to mind. The first will be the dungeon design. There's some really good things in this game when it comes to its dungeons. One that I really like is the Dark Passageway, because it has a good logic puzzle in it, and it also has a lot of fun traps and stuff that you have to fight against. I won't deny that puzzles are the biggest thing in Might and Magic, but there's a lot more puzzles in this game, and they're pretty fun. I think the dungeons are great, and they take a lot of things from Might and Magic 8's previous dungeons. Might and Magic 8 had a little bit more platformy orientated ones, and the engine didn't really support it all that well, but this engine really does. Because of that, you get to see levels that certainly would not have worked in the previous game's engine. Like the Krona Kiga here is a huge dungeon. You would never see this in any of the previous games, and I'm really glad that the team took advantage of what they had. Even though, you know, not finished. The other good thing is the enemies. There's a good variety of them, and while yes, some of them just have palette swaps, others get entirely different models to completely distinct themselves. This makes it easier to identify enemies on the fly. An example would be the Lich Kings to show that they have a lot more power than the Power Liches a tier below them. The other thing too is AI is improved. Enemies can actually run around you and try to get you into certain spots. Some also take advantage of the fact that they can fly and they come in and swoop at you and then fly back, so you only can use arrows on them. This is a huge step up from the previous games because previous games only had enemies just come at you. They didn't really think about it. Now these enemies fly around and swoop around and they move around, and it makes it harder for you to hit them. It creates fights that are a lot more engaging, and I really like that. And one final thing is the cheesiness. Like, okay, all Might and Magic games have their cheesiness, but this one, oh my god. This is the first time in the series it went to so bad it's good. I love the cutscenes in this because they're so awkward to watch. I was making fun of the game for having no mouth animations, but in this it just makes it even better.
You've done it now, Markel.
Is that in your book, Markel? Now may we get down to business?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, yes, that would be great.
They just fucking clapped! I also love some of the voice acting in this. The female Lich is so good.
I cannot learn it. That'll be useful. I could not fix it. I cannot do it.
And this game is just like a train wreck in slow motion. It's so fun to watch it. Not like nerdy dudes having fun with the original games. It's a different kind of cheesiness. But it's still pretty good. There's even some live moments where you can see some people battling it out, like these two racists.
Or I crack it with your skull.
Stupid human.
That's it, ugly dwarf. You're getting it now.
But the best thing about this game is the cult. Now, unlike the Temple of Ba, they're not a religious doomsday cult thing. Instead, they're a religious, worship of the Great Honk. And the members of it are... the members of it are called... They're called honkies. How'd they get away with that? But what I don't like are the graphics. This game is really ugly. We're going back to the way Might and Magic 7 looked with very dull looking textures and foggy weather effects. Polygons are too pointy and textures on characters are just... ugh. But then again, this is Lithtech. My point is that this game is ugly, but at times it has some good color design and areas pop a bit. There's some really interesting areas at some points, but that's kind of it. I mean, sure, it's a step up from the older games, but, what kind of step? The sound design in this game isn't all that bad. In fact, there are a few things that it did better than the first. 3D sound was something the original games had too, but it wasn't really used that much. Sound effects aren't that bad. They have some arcadey tones to them, and they do the job. I can't really say anything sounds off or weird. One thing I don't like, though, is that the hit and miss sounds are the exact same. That is not cool. Music, though, this game's alright. It reminds me a lot of Might and Magic 7's tracks being more tame and relaxing, but there is some good stuff like the final dungeon. Now this is my jam. Now with the voice acting, you've already heard me say that. I love it. It's so cheesy and ridiculous, and there's certain characters that I have epiphany for. My God, did they get away with it being so cheesy.
Once again, I have slain the forces of evil. Behold the famous Markel the Great.
This is good!
It's fucking bulletproof, man. But in all honesty, the audio isn't that bad. Except when this happens. Jesus Christ! So, to conclude, Might and Magic 9 is an unfinished game. It can be fun. I've had my fun with it. In fact, for some reason, I am playing through it twice. I'm weird. There's some things that suck, like the libraries, but there are some good things, like the final classes and the dungeons. But it's just not done. I really do wish that this game was finished. From the beginning all the way to the end, I found myself enjoying the game more and more as I played it. But at the same time, it's just so buggy and not finished. Like, I won't deny that near the end I was having a ball, but the beginning is so slow and the promotions are just ugh. But near the end, when I got a lich up to level 166, I was saying, you know, I'm having a lot of fun right now. This is pretty good. But at the same time, it was just squandered, ruined. This game could have been amazing, even better than 6. But it was all rushed, and it's all thanks to 3DO. Thanks, 3DO. So if I had to rank these games, I would definitely say that 6 is the best, with 8 and then 7 and 9. If you do play these, I would still recommend that you play the 8th game first, out of all of these. So I hope that those of you watching these videos had fun, and I hope you guys get to play these games from start to finish. So I just have to go through here without triggering any traps, right? Hey, there we go. Yep, that was... Wow.